You said you grew up in a humble household with a single mother. What motivated you to not only get your education, but go on to college and become a doctor? Hi, and welcome to another episode of Talkback for Teens Youth News. I'm your anchor, Olivia Harrison.
I'm your co-anchor, Bernard Rodgers.
I'm your co-anchor, Tymoni, Correa-Buntley.
And today we have 3 exciting news stories for you. Bernard, tell us a little bit about the first one.
All right. First, guys, we're talking about the boat sinking. The ferry that sunk that had a number of students on it. This incident took place on the coast of South Korea. Several of the hundreds of students were trapped on the sinking ferry. And they've just been trying to locate all of these people and see what happened, further understand the story. The important thing that I wanted to highlight with this story, guys, is that recently they've been going through a lot of the text messages that were sent by the students before the sinking took place. ABC reports that an 18-year-old woman was writing her father and she said, "Dad, don't worry, I've got a life vest on and we're huddled together." But she is still among the missing students that they know about, and they're trying to locate them as quickly as possible. Al Jazeera has noted that most of the 475 passengers on board the ferry were students from the Danson High School in Anson. And one of the reoccurring things that is happening with this case itself is that all of these different news stations are getting very, very different stories because they're actively trying to figure out what happened to these students, why this boat sank, and they're questioning the captain because he quickly got off the boat and they still don't know what's going on. So
Is he still alive?
the captain is still alive, and in his recent, as they've been investigating, they recently questioned him, and he actually broke down in tears. So they're trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
They think there may be some foul play involved, but you have to keep following the story to find out.
The next story we have is an interesting one from NBC News entitled, "How Did the Teen Stowaway Invade Airport Security?" by Ben Pokin. Well, yesterday on Sunday, a 16-year-old boy was found in an airplane's wheel well, which is the back of the plane where the big spinny wheel goes. And he was actually hiding in there and traveled all the way from San Jose, California to Maui in Hawaii. This was very surprising because other people have done this before, but usually they die, and he was able to survive. It also raised a lot of questions about airport security. In the story, a former pilot said that he doesn't really spend a lot of time watching the stowaway parts of planes for, invaders or people who might try to sneak on the plane. He also said, "I'm focusing on my safety checks, my procedures, and preparing for my takeoff. Unless someone really looked out of place, I wouldn't think to question them. I presume that security was watching out for that." So this is really it's really bringing a question about airport security because, when people normally go on the plane, you have to go through all these things, taking off your socks, taking off your shoes. And it was easy for this 16-year-old kid just to hide in the plane and travel from one place to another. And he didn't die, he didn't pass out. And it was just really surprising that he not only was able to sneak on, but to stay on the plane. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think it's interesting that he was able to just sneak on so low-key. Like, if he was outside, there had to be a way, like, he had to have climbed a fence or something. So it makes me wonder, what kind of security is it? We know that there's the security in the inside that checks you, but what kind of security is on the outside perimeters of the airport?
Yeah, I agree with what you guys have said so far, but, if they are going through all these other checks, taking your socks off and, pretty much stripping you all the way down to make sure that you have nothing on you, and they know about some of these stowaway, compartments on the plane, wouldn't they be checking those as well?
Yeah, I think that they were saying that they usually don't check it because of the high risk of danger. People normally wouldn't go on there. If you were going to sneak on, you might go another way. But to go on the stowaway, it's very dangerous, so I don't think they automatically presume that people would go on there. But if you're willing to, risk the face of danger, guess you can travel for free.
Who's to say if he was so easily able to get on, and who's to say that it couldn't have been a bomb? Like,
yeah.
If he's not, if their excuse for not checking it is that we didn't think someone would be able to survive. That could have easily been a bomb. That could have been many people's lives gone.
That's true.
And not only that, another great question would be, who's to blame if something was to happen to him?
Yeah,
Would it be the airport or would it be the individual?
Or would it be the individual? Well, a security expert says that it's a threat to see the likelihood and the potential damage and cost of various attacks, kind of like Tymoni was saying, like if this could have been a possible terrorist attack or a bomb. And, you know, they're trying to see where in the budget they can kind of look at this thing a little more and, you know, budget for this and kind of beef up their security at this airport and other airports. I think another really interesting question is what you brought up. Whose fault would it be if the boy happened to die or something really bad happened to him? Did he go on there at his own risk? Could his family, you know, hold the airline accountable?
And I just think in the long run, it would be something great to check out because there have been constant cases where something like this has happened. And even though it's not directly the airport's, you know, problem, I mean, it happened while we're using your machinery, your equipment. So.
And no one stopped him from getting on there. He was able to sneak on there and stay on there.
Yeah. This Saturday, the Yeezy Foamposites, which are sneakers that were inspired by the Kanye West sneakers that he just released, they were released, and every Saturday many teens line up outside of malls and Foot Lockers everywhere waiting for shoes. They wait in line for hours and hours. And this Saturday in Brooklyn, a 15-year-old who was waiting in line amongst many people to get a pair of these sneakers, he was reportedly cutting in line and was shot in the foot. Police say this occurred at 6 a.m. while the 15-year-old was waiting in line for the pair of the sneakers. It was reported that one of the customers in line actually shot him in the foot 4 times. So for this to happen 4 times, there's obviously a great amount of anger, which I don't understand what happens over a pair of sneakers.
Well, I agree with you. I definitely don't. I've never really understood the whole sneaker culture and why you go out and pay $250 for some sneakers that are only going to be relevant for that weekend, and then the next weekend, you know, you have to buy the next ones to keep up. So, all in all, like it's terrible that A, they're spending this much money on sneakers, and then B, that something like this has to come of it all, like you said, for some sneakers.
I think it really shows the big control and influence celebrities have on teens and kind of our culture because, you know, they release these sneakers and they're inspired by Kanye West, and these people are lined up to get them and going so far as to shooting someone in the foot because he cut in line. Like, I think it really shows the power of marketing because I remember looking at that story and they didn't even market for these things. So Nike is making a big profit. They didn't even have to market it, no commercials, nothing. And bam, they got all these people willing to spend $200 for these sneakers, waiting in line, going crazy over sneakers. I mean, it's not like it's a ticket to college or I don't know. They're just shoes. Honestly, they're just shoes. So I think it's interesting. I think it's sad, but maybe some of you can tell us since we're not really educated, maybe you can help educate us. What is this big phenomenon with sneakers and having the latest, freshest sneakers? Why is it so important? What's the big deal about it? Let us know. Let us know your comments, your thoughts, and on any of the stories, not just this. If you have anything else to add or include, please join us and join the conversation at talkback4teens.com. You can see us, visit us on Instagram, Facebook, and you can tweet us on Twitter, all at talkback4teens. And we just want to thank you so much for listening and, you know, commenting and letting us share with you the relevant stories we found. Once again, I'm your anchor, Olivia Harrison.
I'm your co-anchor, Bernard Rodgers.
And I'm your co-anchor, Tymoni Correa-Buntley.
And we'll see you again.
Do you remember Montre Bradley?
Yes. Same thing happened. Well, he didn't get shot in the foot, but he got shot over some sneakers.
He got shot, died?
Yeah.
Died.
Looking at the stars and all the patterns that we think we can see. Finding
I'm so sorry for that first story. I was like, what am I supposed to do again? And then you asked us what we thought about it, and I was like,